Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It's Monday Night Live. That means it's a Skype show for you to call in and have your say. The big topics tonight, you will dictate it, but what about this? Paul Pogba, no longer the main man at Manchester United for Jose Mourinho. Is that actually a good thing for Manchester United, that we're not so reliant on Pogba as maybe we have been this season? What about Jamie Carragher? Where do you stand on him? The Spitgate, suspended by Sky Sports, defended by Gary Neville and others. Should he keep his job? Shouldn't he? A lot of passionate about that today. Can Manchester United win the Champions League? Jose Mourinho quite blunt about what our chances are of winning it this year. Sanchez, where's the best position for Sanchez? Zlatan's back fit. Carrick to retire at the end of the season. There was something else as well. I've put it down here. Mourinho, Sanchez, no, I think that was it. So lots and lots to discuss. I seem to have lost my... No, there we are. That's fine. I'm back. Which is good. I hope everybody else is all right, because my XSplit has decided to freeze completely. So I'm going to assume that everything is absolutely fine and try and get back to you lot here. Okay. Straight away, John Joseph McCormack says, "Don't talk rubbish. Pogba is Manchester United's main man." And I think this. No, I disagree. I don't think he's Jose Mourinho's main man at all at the moment. I mean, I think around October time he was obviously intrinsic to what we were trying to achieve, certainly. But at the moment, there's part of me that thinks tomorrow, if he's slightly injured, don't pick him. It's not about selling Pogba. It's not about Pogba not being good enough. But I think for a lot of this season, when Pogba was out injured, when Pogba was suspended for the Man City game, we haven't got Pogba, and it's like everything. And then we've had 4 or 5 weeks of Pogba not playing that well. And then I think what we saw against Liverpool, and what we should see tomorrow if he's not fit, is that we don't actually need Pogba. We do, because he's a great player, but we're not going to fall apart without him, and that's great from a Manchester United point of view. I love Pogba, but it's great that we can function behind him without him. It's great for Pogba, because what it means with Pogba now is if that message filters through to him that you're no longer the dab king of Manchester United, you've got to actually work your way back in and show us what you're all about. That's great for Manchester United. And from Mourinho's point of view, it's good for him because it gives him a bit of manoeuvrability in the changing room, that he can now be like, you're important to me, Paul, but I've got other things that are important to me as well. And it just makes for a better harmony, I think. So I see it as a positive that, we don't fall apart if we haven't got Pogba anymore. Fantastic player, but I do see the positives. There's only one ego at United, and that is Jose, not Pogba, says Ananthru. And he would be brilliant in another team. I think Pogba will be brilliant for us. I just think it's good that at the moment he's not this big main man anymore, and it takes the focus off. And 888_441 says McTominay is better for us than Pogba at the moment. Sounds ridiculous to say it, but actually there might be some truth in it. Matic is the main man, says John Sherrell. Pogba, rather see him in his silly hairdos and me attitudes out of United. He's average, lazy player. United first, says Mandy Smith. Quite harsh there, but you never know. Right, taking the first call. Michael, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can.
How you doing?
Yeah, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. You?
Not too bad at all. Nice to speak with you.
Good, you. Lots to talk about tonight. I mean, I can throw a question at you, but if there was anything you wanted to talk about that you actually called in, fire ahead.
Yeah, I suppose I think we're finally seeing, and it's something that you've probably heard me say for the last year, maybe more. I've never been a Paul Pogba fan, and I think we're beginning to see how little that he actually brings to the party at Old Trafford. He has, people will say, a lot of potential. He's physically good. He shows glimpses every now and again. But at no stage since he has come to Old Trafford has he ever really stepped forward and proved himself to be what everybody claims he is world class. So I'm not at all surprised, and I'm actually glad that Jose Mourinho has finally dropped him, because I just don't think his attitude or his focus is where it needs to be. And I don't think he's good enough to play for Manchester United at the moment. I would like to think that you are right, Mark, in that in time, when his focus is where it should be, not on his boots, not on the colour of his hair, etc. I would like to think that maybe he does have a place at Old Trafford, but not at all surprised to see him not in the squad. I'm surprised it didn't happen a lot earlier, and I'm constantly listening to people, good friends of mine, telling me Paul Pogba is world class, and I'm still waiting for them to show me evidence of that, and nobody can. So I'm not at all surprised, and I think Jose is absolutely right to do what he's doing. I really do.
Andre Williams says Lukaku's the main man now, and Pogba needs to worry more about what he meant to him to become a footballer, other than his haircut. I mean, there was another video of him doing happy clap handshakes with Lingard that I saw over the weekend, which, to be honest with you, I haven't got a huge problem with if he delivers on the pitch. I do think Pogba can be world class, but I would have to agree with you that he hasn't delivered it consistently in a United shirt, and some people feel that he hasn't done it at all. But I do think he's important, and I do see the positive that we're not so. As I was saying there, when I think back in October time when he got suspended for the City game, we were like, oh my God, we haven't got Pogba. I think there's a positive in this situation where we're not reliant on him now. It's like we can get results without him. It's not ideal, but I think it gives him maybe Pogba now will have a bit of realisation that, oh, hold on a minute, that the fans are happy and they're getting a result without me.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I mean, for me, I'm involved in other sports at a high performance level, and the one thing that Paul Pogba does not have in terms of ticking the boxes to be a top class player, his focus and his attitude is nowhere near it needs to be. It's about the image, it's about the hair. If you look at Roy Keane in his heyday, Keane was arguably our greatest ever midfielder, arguably. And he did all the basics right. He was very, very consistent. He never had a bad game. Paul Pogba needs to look at someone like that and say, you know what, that's where I need to be. I need to be more focused. I need to do the basics right. And it's not all about the happy claps when you score a fancy goal and the haircuts and stuff like that. So for me, I think until he gets his attitude right, I don't see a place for him at Old Trafford. I would like to see him. I think he's potentially got a lot of attributes, but you know what? We can talk about talent until the cows come home, as we say in Ireland, but until he gets his attitude right and performs on the pitch, I think his days are numbered at Old Trafford.
And just before you go, Michael, it's a very topical thing at the moment. It's ironic that Carragher has spent most of his career building a controversial career sniping at Manchester United, and it appears now that an ex-Manchester United great, Gary Neville, could be the man who keeps him his job. There's a lot of irony in that. Gary Neville's come out this afternoon defending him. Not defending what he did, but saying, it shouldn't be enough for him to lose his career. I mean, I take it you're aware of what's happened. Carragher spitting at a car yesterday, the 12-year-old.
Listen.
What's your thoughts on it?
I tell you, I think it's ironic because I think, I mean, my brother is a massive Liverpool fan, and he'll constantly snipe at Gary Neville, who, unlike Jamie Carragher, has had the balls to take on a very difficult management job. Took a lot of courage. It didn't work out. But, Jamie Carragher spent the last year or two sniping and slagging Gary Neville off at every single opportunity. So I think what Gary Neville has showed is he has showed that he's got class, and he's taken the high moral ground. And I think it's ironic and almost hilarious in a way that Jamie Carragher has hung himself out to dry. Meanwhile, Gary Neville, who is a classy guy, has actually come in to support him. And Jamie Carragher didn't give Gary Neville any support when he was struggling at Valencia. All he did was slag him off. But in saying that, having said that, there's lots of good men out there who every now and again maybe will let their guard down and do something they'll regret. I'm sure I probably have. I'm sure you probably have. And, I wouldn't hang him out to dry just because he's a Scouser,
Well, thanks for the call, Michael. Really good. And please do call in again.
Yeah, listen, nice to speak with you, Mark. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too, pal. Thank you. I think we'd all agree with that. I mean, Gary Neville's got every right to come out and say what he has said, and he has been defensive of Carragher beyond the remark. But you know what? Whoever gets through tonight, you're more than happy to talk about that. We've got lots of things to talk about. Can Manchester United win the Champions League? Pogba, Sanchez, Zlatan, Carragher, Mourinho slagging off De Boer. Loads to talk about. Ollie, can you hear me?
Yeah, can Mark. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. You?
Yeah, I'm brilliant, thanks.
Good. Anything particular you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I want to talk about what I think Manchester United should be in for the rest of the season.
Okay.
The first thing I want to touch on is the FA Cup. I think Jose Mourinho should be licking his lips a lot because Man City's out to Wigan. I was really happy with that. Liverpool got knocked out to West Brom. Nothing new there. Our biggest two targets now Spurs, who always bottle it, and Chelsea, who have looked a bit dodgy recently, so I think we could take it.
I certainly think that Sevilla tomorrow is the big one, and Brighton at home, as arrogant as it may be, I think we're in the semi-finals. I mean, if we blew that at home, I think there'd be big questions asked. And then, like you say, two games from it, Spurs are probably the bigger threat. Mourinho said today, he was asked about whether they can win the Champions League, and he said, we're not the best team in the tournament, but once you get to the quarterfinals, anything's possible.
Yeah, 100%, because I don't believe, if I'm going to be honest, I don't think United will win the Champions League. Obviously, it would be a dream, but do I think we will? Probably not, no. But I do think we should give it our best. Like, let's say we draw Shakhtar Donetsk or Roma in the quarters. We could beat them, and we could be, even if we've got one of the English teams, let's say Liverpool, we could beat them. So I think the quarterfinals is sort of like the aim. Like, let's say we got knocked up at Real Madrid, I wouldn't be disappointed because I think they're going to win it. But if we get a team who, we could go against, I think we should aim for semi-finals. And again, it's Jose Mourinho in a two-leg game. You can expect anything. Anything can happen in that sort of game.
Yeah. Any update on Kane's injury, says Andrew K. This isn't Tottenham Fan TV. And Yash Damri says, it's not impossible for us to win the Champions League, but chances are like 59.7%. I'm loving the accuracy. 59.7% apparently is the chance we've got of winning it. But no, I've got a funny feeling if we get through Sevilla tomorrow, which I expect us to, I don't think we've seen the last of Liverpool this season. And over two legs, I think... Yeah, I don't want to get Liverpool in the Champions League anymore because we've just beaten them and we've put them in a box that we can box off till next season. But if we got them in the Champions League, I mean, that would be a pretty... there's a word for it. It's not stressful. It'd be a massive 2 games, that would. I mean, and over 2 games... I would rather get Barcelona than Liverpool, to be honest, because it's just such a... You don't want to lose that game. And I'm not saying that we would, but I do think if we get through, we'll get an English club. Yeah,
Barcelona, I know what you mean, but if you think of our left-backs, Lionel Messi would run rings around them. In the Champions League, if we got through the quarters, I'd like Man City. I'd like to try and prove a point to them. It would be a brilliant atmosphere at Old Trafford. I think we could do it. Obviously, it would be half empty at the empty that, but I think Mourinho could do that over 2 legs. His desire to do it would just be, after he lost in December, his desire to do it, I think we could do it if, like, Pogba, Alexis, Lukaku, Martial all step up. I think we could beat City.
We certainly seem to be having a lot of the good players coming back. I mean, it was great what Rashford did at the weekend. Martial's back now. I'd love to see Martial and Rashford sharing that left wing spot. Sanchez sorting himself out centrally. Mata's playing well. Lukaku's playing well. The midfield is still weak, but we're doing it without Pogba, and Pogba's got to come back. Hopefully we're going to see a bit of form at the right time because there are trophies out there to be won, and then hopefully reinvest in the summer. One man who is back, I think he's been back training for a while, is Zlatan. Do you see, does Zlatan excite you being back? Some people feel that he should only get 20 minutes or 10 minutes at the end of the game because he'll slow us down. He's not very quick, but I mean, Zlatan Ibrahimovic being part of your squad in the last few weeks of the season, there's got to be a positive in that.
I think the positive with Zlatan is his personality. He's a really hard worker. He's a legend of the game. I think his mere presence can help us. Like, I wouldn't go as far as comparing to Roy Keane, but I think because he's such a character, he could help. Like the team, like, you hear what Rashford said about the help he gave him last season. So I don't think Zlatan will be important on the pitch, but I feel he could be an influence off the pitch in the dressing room, as he is such a powerful character.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's got a lot to offer still. Thanks for calling, Ollie. Really good points, and please do call in again.
Yeah, it's no problem, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers, pal. Let's have a look at the live comments. If I can find it, where it is. Okay. Can you stop? What? Wong Say Heng. Hello, Mark. How come you stopped saying Scott McTominay is a Championship player? Didn't say that. Haven't said that. I said it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up playing for Preston North End. I'm always honest. I hadn't really seen what he was all about. I hadn't, and a lot of people said that. But what I did say is he's been in the youth team since he was 9. He's a youth player. Mourinho, Sir Alex Ferguson, and Michael Carrick and now Matic, they can't all be wrong. They're people I respect in the game. I didn't understand what it was, and I don't think anybody saw what it was. But I think what we've seen since the Chelsea second half, not Palace, and yes, and against Liverpool, is that, you know what, there is something there. He's still very rough around the edges, and he's still going to have games like Mourinho said a week ago. He'll have bad games and he'll have good games, but he's going in the right direction. Called up for Scotland. Part of me thinks tomorrow, if we want to play a midfield 2 again, I wouldn't. This is going to shock people, but I wouldn't bring Pogba in for Rashford, Mata, or Sanchez, and I wouldn't bring him in for Matic or McTominay. So I'd stick, amazingly, I would stick Pogba on the bench. So I want McTominay to be successful, but I think the jury's still out. I mean, it's a bit like saying Lingard at Christmas. Everyone said he was world class. Well, he was playing very, very well, and then he's gone back to the normal Lingard. I think United fans should never be bandwagon fans. Let's just watch the lad grow. But I really do hope it works out. Mark, you have said that McTominay would probably end up in the Championship a few months back. Andrew K. I remember Preston North End, but you know what? Everybody was saying that at the time. And I don't apologise for that. Look, I love what I absolutely love in football is smug hindsight fans who say sod all, and then suddenly they come back at you with comments that you were honest about a few months ago. And if anybody says to me that 3 months ago they thought Scott McTominay was going to be the next Michael Carrick, they're a bloody liar. So, you know what? If I said Championship, I don't care. I probably did say it because I haven't really. It's taken until the last 2 weeks to actually see what McTominay's all about. But what I always said is there must be something, because Mourinho said there was. So, you know what? I've said a lot of stupid things in the past and been proved wrong, but I've said a lot of things where I've been proved right. So, show me somebody who's right all the time and I'll call you a liar. We should play this tactic against City game later. We can get a good result, says Crizia Prince. Okay, I want to take another call. Okay, we got it. Okay, let's get Andy on. Andy, how you doing?
I'm good, Mark. You?
Yeah, not bad. Anything particular getting on your nerves that you want to talk about?
Not getting on my nerves, no. Actually positive. The atmosphere at Old Trafford, because I went on Saturday, was absolutely rocking and I loved it. It was brilliant. In the 3 years that I've been going, that was the most rocking it's ever been. It was absolutely brilliant. Like, even when Chris Small and Eric Bailly were flying into tackles, everyone was off their feet. It was brilliant, and every song the Scousers had, we always had a comeback for it, and we shut them up. It was brilliant. I absolutely loved it, and that was one of the best games I've seen Lukaku in a United shirt as well. He deserved a goal. He was unreal. Bay was absolutely colossal as well, and so was Smalling.
Yeah, I tell you what as well, I think the most important thing is I get fed up of, like, when we're doing the watch-alongs or the previews saying we've got to use the 12th man, which is Old Trafford. They're ready, but they can't fake it. You've got to cook them. You've got to get them up for it. And United have so much this season been a second half team. The brilliance of that Rashford goal is it happened within the first, I think it was the 12th minute, very early on in the game. And when that goes in, they're cooked. The ground's cooked. It doesn't matter. They'll stick with you till the 90th minute now because you've done something early on to get that excitement going, and then it never drops off. And I hope Jose sort of picked up on that as well. That this is how you do it, because the 12th man at Old Trafford will beat a lot of teams.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, and you want to see that from now until the end of the season. It's a shame that it's not like that every game, but it's always going to be. There's always going to be that extra spice, isn't there, with Liverpool? Like the other 2 times I've been to United Liverpool, it's not been that good, as good as Saturday, I mean, but it was really good. It was absolutely fantastic. Like, everyone stood up, and it's absolutely in delirium, man. When those 2 goals went in, it's just like you're hugging the guy next to you, you don't even know. It's absolutely brilliant. There's just no better feeling in football than that, beating the Scousers. It's absolutely brilliant.
Andrew K, I wasn't specifically calling you a smug hindsight fan. I was talking in general, by the way. I know you are. Well, we value every voice on the United stand. What was I going to say? Yeah, somebody just did say in the live comments that they would like a little discussion about Mourinho and his comments about Frank de Boer. There's so much going on with Manchester United, you do tend to miss stuff. But today, in his press conference, Mourinho said that the Premier League's worst manager trying to give him advice. Obviously, De Boer lost a lot of his games, then got the sack. But De Boer had said that Rashford under Mourinho isn't great. He'd do better elsewhere. And then Mourinho did what Mourinho does, absolutely buried him, and a lot of people think that's good. There's two aspects to though that I would throw up before you give us your thoughts, Andrew. One, De Boer is the man he gave Fosu Mensah to at the start of the season, so there must have been a half decent relationship there. And two, you know what? Everybody always says, and I'm not sticking up for De Boer because I'm a Mourinho fan, but you know what? It's a good time for Mourinho to come out and make a comment like that because it's like everyone's behind him at the moment. But the reality is, how many times have we heard people say Martial would be better under Pep, Rashford would be better under Pep? So there might be an element of truth in fairness to it, but Mourinho certainly buried him.
Yeah, he was right to drop him as well, wasn't he? Was it in November, I think he dropped him, because he was in a really bad run of form. So what was he meant to do? Just keep playing him? I know that, we tried that with Mkhitaryan, didn't we? We tried playing him out of form, and that ended up woefully sort of going the other way, didn't it? So he was absolutely right to drop Rashford, and he brought him back in, and he played a blinder on Saturday. What's the board talking about? It's coming out and having a pop at Mourinho. Like, I'm still 65% Jose in, but I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that Jose comes out with, but I absolutely agree with that. He was right to put De Boer back in his place. It's just an idiotic comment, really.
I wasn't even aware of it until Mourinho had made the comment. So, you know, I think you're always leaving yourself absolutely wide open if you do that. I mean, hopefully we'll get somebody Skyping in and giving their thoughts on Mourinho, i.e. one of these people who 2 weeks ago was just, I want him out. I want to know whether people still feel like that, because otherwise we are slipping into the Andrew K comment territory where you've got these genius in hindsight fans who we know for a fact, we've seen them in the live comments, I want Mourinho out. Mark, this is the Mourinho stand. Mark, you live up his arse, and this, that and the other. But, you know, where are they at the moment? Interesting. What was I going to say? Yes, Sanchez. Where's Sanchez's solution now? Do you think Mourinho will put him back on the left? Or do you think he'll stick him on the centre and let Martial and Rashford do the left-hand side?
It's interesting, isn't it? I completely agree with you. Sanchez wasn't bad, but he was our worst player because everyone else just played so good. I saw times as well, I was watching Sanchez quite a lot individually on Saturday, and there was times where he was trying to urge players up to press with him and Lukaku, and again, they weren't doing it. And that comes down to the manager, but I'm not criticising him over that. This is the thing, like, I still really want him to play him at number 10 or on the right and have Martial on the left, because I was listening to the Sunday night, I think it was on Sunday Night Live yesterday, you were discussing Martial, or it might have been a few shows ago. And I think we were discussing if you would swap Martial for
Dybala, yeah.
Dybala, yeah. I wouldn't, as well, it might sound crazy, but I wouldn't. I absolutely love Anthony Martial. He symbolises what Manchester United should be. He takes on a man, he breaks ankles, and he's really fast. And he bombs up and down that wing. I wouldn't sell him for anybody unless it was Messi or Ronaldo, but that might sound a bit crazy, but that's how much I love him. He's just a fantastic player.
No, I would agree with you, Andy. Thanks for calling in, pal. I'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers, Mark.
Cheers, pal. Somebody just asked me then if I'm tired. I was up till like 3:30 on Saturday night. I think it hits you the day after, doesn't it? But not too tired for you lot. Please do hit the like button and support your fellow United standers. That's what Monday night at 8 o'clock is. It's your show to call in and have your say. Drop a like and support everybody. Darth Vader says Sanchez is declining. I've heard a few people saying that. And also, it is Skype Goldbridge, all one word. So call in and have your say. That's how you do it. Let me whack Jared. How are you doing, Jared?
What's up, Mark? How you doing?
No, I just said let me whack you. We had a little bit of Americanism and Englishism in the watch along the other day because was it you said you'd like to toss somebody off, which means substitute them, but obviously in England it means something else. And I've just said I'm going to whack Jared, meaning I was going to get your call, but that probably means in New York you're going to take you out. But what are you going to talk about?
So I actually think what the first caller said about Pug was very interesting. I mean, I completely disagree with it, but I do think it is an interesting point of view that it speaks volumes to what Mourinho has done for people to be comfortable enough to not think we need Pogba, which I think, look, Pogba is incredible. He is the most talented player on this team, bar none. Maybe Martial in a few years can compare, but there's a reason why we were willing to pay $89 million for a person we let go for free. And it's not because he wasn't supposed to be one of the most talented midfielders in the world. I think his attitude is horrible. So I think my argument is not on the talent level as much as will he ever be a Mourinho guy or will he always be a Pogba guy? And I think if Mourinho doesn't believe that he's his man, he could get immense value for Pogba. So I think the real question is do people view him as essential to every team or our team? Because he would play in any team he goes into. I think it's an interesting point to look at, though.
I just think with Pogba, and I don't know what everyone else at home thinks, is that I think Pogba does fall into the same trap as Martial, as Mkhitaryan, as many other people, if you look through Mourinho's career, who fall by the wayside because they don't really, not every footballer, when you are learning as a kid or you are playing for a professional club, not every footballer has to have the work ethic to defend. People call Pogba and Martial lazy. They're not lazy. They don't have to have that. When they became footballers, you don't. It's not in anything that you sign that you must track back and work hard. Some players that's not what they're good at. It's not what they've ever done. But Mourinho expects it, and I think that's where Pogba struggles. I think Pogba is a player that went to Juventus and they let him express himself in a midfield three in a strong team, and he didn't have to do that. But at Manchester United, you've got to express yourself, but you've also got to work back as part of the team because that's what Mourinho wants. He's very defensive minded, and I think that's where Pogba struggles a bit. I think you stick Pogba, like you say, into an Arsenal or even a Chelsea or certainly a Man City or a Liverpool. He's going to work back, but not to the length that Mourinho wants, and I just think that's where Pogba and Martial sometimes fall down.
I agree. I also think that certain managers can adjust their tactics towards a player and make them better. I think Mourinho is an unbelievable tactician, but he will never adjust this part of his game, ever. And that is one of his biggest flaws, I find. I want Mourinho to be here for a long time. I just think if you look at an individual flaw he has, this is at the top of the list, is that he expects everyone to track back. You can't tell him differently. And because of that, people like Pogba, who should be putting in 9 and 10s in every game that they play, get exposed, unfortunately. And I think, again, Pogba's going to be here because I don't see us ever letting him go again. But the real question is he ever going to be the person we thought he should be in this team? And that I don't know. I think Martial will not be here next year. I'm starting more and more to believe this rumor of Dybala and Martial will swap. And I'm okay with that now, even though I'm a big Martial fan. It's all based on Mourinho.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen. I don't know how I'd feel if Martial go. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be Mourinho out. I mean, Van Persie was sold, and I worshipped Van Persie, and I didn't like Van Gaal, and I still stayed with him, Van Gaal, even though I hated that. So I wouldn't, turn against the manager just because he sells my favourite player. But I mean, Dybala is a different conversation. We can do that on a different show. I'm not convinced. I like Dybala a lot, but I wouldn't be swapping him for Martial. Where's Ollie says, what happened to the £89 million player who was said to be world class, now struggling to fight for a position against some Scottish youngster? And Red Jedi says, you can't express yourself under Jose, let's be honest. And Samuel R says he needs to fix his attitude though, play for the manager. And Crisia Prince, Pogba needs to work more for the team. Yeah, I mean, it'd be an interesting one. I mean, tomorrow, if he's fit, I would imagine they'll find a place for him. But in a midfield too, I would stick with Matic and McTominay. I don't know about you.
I don't think he's fit. I think something happened, and I don't think Mourinho wants to explain it completely. But I do not think he's playing tomorrow. I think tomorrow, obviously, we need to win, figure a way through, and keep the Champions League going. I do think, though, again, if there's ever been doubters on Mourinho, you look at these past few games, and it just shows the progress. It shows where we're going. I'm excited for next season. I'm excited for the rest of this season, and I don't know that if we looked a month ago, many people were saying that. So that's a positive you take from it.
Definitely. Thanks for calling in, Jared, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Stay well, Mark. Thanks.
You too, pal. Speak to you soon. Just an interesting comment here as well from Mohammed Ashfaq Patel. I don't know whether he actually knows Jamie Carragher. I would hope that he does from the comment, because otherwise it wouldn't make much sense. But he says, guys, please stop judging Carra solely on what he did yesterday. Get to know him. In my opinion, he's a good guy. There we go. I'd like actually somebody to call in and have a say about this Carragher thing, because it's been rumbling on in the live comments. It's been rumbling on all day. And I had my say on That's Football. That's where I did my bit. So I would love to know what some people have got to say about it, because it is a Skype show and it is topical, and it obviously happened after a Manchester United Liverpool game. So be really interested to see what people have got to say on it. But let's see who else we can get on. Zach, can you hear me?
Hey Mark, how's it going?
Hello?
Yeah, hey Mark, how's it going?
I'm good, thanks. You?
Great, man.
Good.
Still high off the win Saturday.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that long ago. Big win for us, but massive game incoming tomorrow. And as I said on the preview that I did at lunchtime, if we were to lose tomorrow, then all that good work from the Liverpool result would disappear. But what did you want to talk about?
Well, I wanted to talk about two things. One of them, just Eric Bailly and just the freak of nature that he is at center back. I mean, he got hurt in that game. I haven't really heard anybody talk about it, but he gets hurt, he goes off, and at least in my head, I'm thinking, oh God, here we go. Now we're going to bring on somebody else, somebody, prone to making errors and get rid of Bailly, and he played through it. And he does that consistently. But what I wanted to talk about is whether or not he's too reckless when he plays defense. I mean, I don't want him to lose his aggression. I think that's probably his best attribute at center back, is the fact that he's so aggressive and physical. I mean, he's so fast for a center back. I think
good on
even
the ball as well.
Salah,
he's good on the ball.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think he showed Mo Salah how good he is on the ball in that game.
Yeah.
But I just think that his recklessness is something that Jose's got to get in check, because we need him healthy every single week. We've got to have him in this team. I think he changes the way we can operate in the back, and I think he's got to be here. But do you think Jose needs to? Is that something Jose needs to look at with him to get him to just under control with the way he defends?
Yeah, I mean, just a minute. There's a lot of people in the live comments talking about Carragher. We'll come back to that in a couple of minutes. But this is a really good point about Eric Bailly. I had exactly the same concern, and I think most Man United fans would have had the same concern as you as well, Zach, in relation to the own goal goes in very fortuitously, and then the next thing, Bailly's injured, and you're like, oh, he's injured again. This is the problem. For me, he's the best centre back in the country when he plays, and everyone laughs at us about that because he's injured a lot, but he is. And then you think he's injured again. But I do think he has quite a reckless way of playing. He goes into tackles, he twists his body here, there, and everywhere. And obviously that's probably why he picks up a lot of injuries. And maybe Mourinho knows defenders like the back of his hand, and maybe that sort of, even if he just tones it down a little bit, he'll still be better than most centre backs. And I think he does need to be careful with his body, because we don't want to be losing him for injuries. But I think there was something that was missed by a lot of people against the Liverpool game, and that was actually what Rashford and Bailly brought to that team, considering they were like new signings, because they haven't really been playing for the last few months. They brought a real leadership, a real aggression to the team. Rashford could have been sent off, and Bailly just never stopped. And that suddenly, you add two players like that to the team, and we suddenly looked a hell of a lot better. Determination, and everyone fed off that. Smalling was flying into tackles, Mata.
No, I agree. I think it's their aggression levels too. And it's that Rashford plays so direct, and Bailly just seems to never let anything by him, and he's so aggressive. As soon as a defender gets the ball, he's just right there. I don't think he gives anybody space, and he's good in the air. He's very physical. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is this game against Sevilla, and whether or not we've put ourselves in a hole here. I mean, you talked about it in a show the other day, I think, worried about if we get up one goal, are we going to park the bus? And I worry going into this game that we're going to put ourselves in a position to lose it. And I don't want any excuses. And I'm not Jose Mourinho out. I don't want any excuses for Mourinho after the game if they somehow pull out some crazy goal off a deflection, or God forbid an own goal or something like that. I don't want any excuses from Mourinho about how we played really well and we executed game plan or whatever, but we just got unlucky. Like, he had 90 minutes at Sevilla to put us in a good position, and we didn't do anything. I mean, it was one of the worst performances I've seen of us. We didn't try to attack at all. Our defense was poor. They had 5 times the chances that Liverpool was able to create this weekend when we played them there. And I don't want to hear anything from Mourinho after this game that, we got unlucky. We need to go out there and play on the front foot and put this game away handily in the first half.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's gonna, I think it will be tense, but I think we'll get through it. But yeah, we can't sit back because the away goal, like you say, a late dodgy goal and you're out. There's nothing to come back from. So I think we need to go get 2 or 3 goals and then sit back. But what's your score prediction for tomorrow? Just give us quickly, Zach. What do you think?
I think it's going to be 2-0. I think it's going to be similar, actually, to this Liverpool game. Hopefully we can get out and score 2 in the first half and play solid defense and maybe not give away an own goal to get them back in the game. I think with a 2-goal lead, you can afford to play defense. It's just when it gets dodgy when it's that 1-goal lead, since we have no away goals to depend on.
Great. Okay, thanks for calling in, Zach. Really good points, and please do call in again.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great show, Mark. Thanks for putting out videos so consistently, man.
No worries. Thanks for calling, mate. And just very quickly, it just popped into my head there. I mean, I've seen it not mostly with United, but I've seen it with a lot of other teams as well. You can put all the work into a 2-legged game, and then if you don't get yourself a big buffer, you can get knocked out. I mean, the most ironic thing would be if we dominate Sevilla tomorrow, but we sit back with 1 goal the last 10 minutes, or we'll just defend it out, get Fellaini on. We'll defend everything they throw at us, and they get a goal, and we've got no time to get back, and we go out 1-1 for an away goal. The most funny thing is, the worst one I ever remember that happening to United was United against Porto, the year that Porto won the Champions League, and Mourinho was the manager, and he went running down the touchline and skid along it. So if anybody knows more about how an away goal can just flip a game in the last couple of minutes, Mourinho. We should have knocked Porto out, and they got a late goal, away goal, knocked us out, and went on to win it, which was, obviously historical. But so, Mourinho should know that, and we've got to be very, very careful of that. But I think we will. We've got to be ruthless with our goals. We need the ruthless approach, says Whiskey Boys Steve MUFC. And the Skype ID is Skype Goldbridge, yeah. And Mark, please read this comment. You were only all right with Van Persie leaving was because of his age. Martial is young, says Sarah Cantello. Yeah, maybe I would not be happy if Martial left. I've got to be honest. If Martial leaves, I'll be very, very unhappy. Right, I'm going to try and take Cal's call because he's been trying to get on for a while. Oh, it's not connecting. That's odd. It should connect. Hello, can you hear me? Oh, it hasn't. Let me try him again. Hello, can you hear me? Is that Cal?
Yes! Let's go. Yes, me.
Are you doing alright?
Hello? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, good. I'm going to ask you a question, Cal, because there's a lot of people in the live comments are on about this, and then you can ask whatever you want. What's your thoughts on the Carragher thing? Please tell me you're aware of what it's all about.
I think that, well, everyone's human at the end of the day, but his actions were just disgraceful, to be honest. You should never spit at anyone like that, really. It's just disgraceful. But I do think he deserves a second chance.
I actually think that Sky won't sack him. I think he'll be suspended probably for a few more weeks. And I think Gary Neville coming out like he did on Twitter and saying, he's a nice bloke and this, that and the other. I don't think Neville would do that if he didn't think he was going to be kept. But it does pose the serious question, not a serious question, the interesting question though, because I don't like Carragher, ex-Liverpool player, but I actually don't mind him as a pundit. And one thing he's very good at is the banter. And obviously a lot of that banter is aimed at Gary Neville and Manchester United. Yeah. And that is entertaining at times. But can he still be the same Carragher now? Because he's always going to be, if he tries, like he has humiliated people in a funny way, both on Twitter, I think there was done it to Danny Simpson, I remember, and on telly, he's always ribbing Gary Neville about Valencia and stuff like that. It's sort of like, can you still banter when you've done when everyone's got that big trump card in their back pocket that they can just pull out and mention the spitting thing? I just wonder whether it actually will, even if they keep him now, will that just end up undermining what we all used to like about him anyway?
That's the thing, really, because he's just going to have that on his conscience every time he goes on like a live show on Monday Night Football or Super Sunday. he's just going to have that on his mind all the time now, and yeah, it's going to be hard to get away from that, no matter how much he apologises.
I know, because you just think if he tries it on and somebody's just going to come back, at least I don't spit at kids, you know, and then he's got it kills the banter because it's not funny, and he can't come back at it. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the dynamic works. But yeah, it'd be interesting. Anyway, I just wanted to ask that about that, Cal. What was there anything specifically you wanted to talk about?
I was just wondered if you knew where Alexander-Arnold was. I can't find him.
Yeah.
Rashford sent him into next week.
Absolutely destroyed him. But it's interesting. I mean, that's an interesting thing as well. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are. I mean, look, Liverpool. Young has put an Instagram post out about saying he hasn't got Mo Salah, but he played along with the joke, which was great. But I think the way Klopp reacted to that loss was pretty, you know, for a Liverpool manager, I thought he took it really well. And people might not be aware because we're so elated from the win, but he basically said, you know, sometimes you can't give a team like Manchester United 2 goals, and you know they're a good team, and it was hard for us to come back. And then I think Souness, and it may have been Carragher, had a right go about their right back, Alexander-Arnold. And Klopp was very defensive of him, saying, you know, pundits shouldn't be doing that, which is quite interesting in context of what's happened with Carragher. But the positive of that is that first goal by Rashford. I mean, flawless goal. Beautiful. And I said at the time, if that was Mo Salah or that was De Bruyne,
the press will be all over it.
Yeah, and United fans obviously are. But Rashford had a bad few months. How good do you think he can be? Because that goal was fantastic. I
might get criticised for saying this, but I genuinely think that he can break Rooney's goal record if he stays with no injuries and just carries on scoring goals. Obviously, he'll have like bad patches, but I think he can break that record.
Would you like him to?
I'd love him to. But also, 2 more things, Mark. One was you know where in some games we're either really good in the first half or really good in the second half. Usually it's the second half. This really needs to change, otherwise teams are just going to walk all over us, really. Because think about it, if we didn't start quickly against Liverpool in the first half, then they would have got a couple of goals and then we would have probably been out the contest already.
Yeah, the second half was, you know, was bordering on shambolic as an attacking outfit. Defensively, we were brilliant, but there was nothing. You know, I felt Lukaku. I think I said it at the time. Lukaku could have just come and stood with Mourinho on the side because he had nothing to do. The ball just wouldn't come up at all. And you're right. Sometimes it's the first half. Sometimes it's the second half. But yeah, you've got to play for 90 minutes in the modern game because we will get caught by somebody. And to be fair, Sevilla tomorrow night. You know, if it weren't for De Gea, we could have walked out of that game 3 or 4 down.
Yeah, definitely.
And what was the other thing, mate?
I actually forgot what I was going to say now. What was it?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just that Rashford goal. It just looks so Ronaldo-esque. I think he scored one against, I think it was Dynamo Kiev back in the day when we beat them 4-0. It was literally identical to that goal.
I tell you what, he has got Rashford's got a lovely shot on him when he catches it right, and people forget he's only just turned 20. What he can do is quite frightening. And I'm like you, I'd love him to just keep scoring goals and break Rooney's record simply because he's come through the youth. He's a local lad. That's who you want your top goal scorer to be, and I hope he can do it. Yeah, definitely. Thanks for calling in, Cal. Really good points, and please do call in again.
All right, cheers, Mark. See you.
Cheers, pal. Thank you. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to throw this back because a lot of people are going on about the Carragher thing, and it's very difficult because you get a caller on, you want to give them their say, you want to talk about what they want to do. Let's just open the live comments up for a minute about this Carragher thing, and we'll ignore Skype just for the moment. So if you are calling in, we will take another call, but I just want to go through the Carragher thing. Right, so Gary Neville's come out and defended him, not for what he's done, but saying, you know, basically shouldn't lose his job. Some people are saying, you know, he's saying he couldn't see the kid in the car. Some people are saying, well, actually, the person who filmed it's just as bad. But nobody's mentioning that Carragher's not wearing a seatbelt driving on the motorway. So if you're moaning about somebody holding a phone up, breaking the Road Traffic Act law, then Carragher's doing it by not having his seatbelt on. And the reality is, would it really matter what that bloke's doing? The reality is, the only issue here is not the phone, is not the seatbelt. It is Carragher spitting at a car that's got a kid in it, yes, but spitting at a car anyway is vulgar when you consider he is a public figure. He's not he's not a footballer anymore. He's paid by Sky Sports to be a public figure that people listen to and respect. That's his job. Forget the fact that he played for Liverpool. He is a public figure, paid a lot of money to be respected as a football journalist and a visual representation of Sky Sports. And he, as driving along the motorway or wherever it was, has decided to wind his window down and spit at a member of the public, and he's been filmed. That is the issue with Carragher. Whether he's sacked or not is down to Sky Sports. Personally, I wouldn't sack him. I agree with Gary Neville. I don't think, he's clearly mortified by what he's done, but it will be whether it is surmountable. Because as I said to Cal there, I think the thing for me is, the reason I like Carragher and Neville is because Carragher just rips the out of everybody and he's got a lot of banter. I don't think he can have banter anymore, because if he tries and banters anybody and they just come back at him, like I said to Cal, they just go, he tries a bit of banter about Valencia. Now, Gary Neville won't do it because he's mate, but if he tries a bit of banter about somebody on, like the Danny Simpson thing, and it was going back and forth on Twitter, or he tries it with a guest or something like that, and they just come back and go, yeah, at least they don't spit at kids, Jamie. It's like, that's killed the atmosphere there of the banter, and it's like, is that going to carry him, stick with him forever now? And that's the thing, if you look through history with these public things, you make a mistake like that, you can be forgiven, but it can destroy whatever you had before. I mean, I have a lot of sympathy for him, I've got to say. We live in a world now where everything is scrutinised. You are, someone's got a phone, you're absolutely got to be spot on all the time. And I don't think anybody can be. I don't think anybody can be. They're human beings at the end of the day. Would you at home spit at somebody though? Maybe some of you would, some of you wouldn't. It's just, everyone's going to have to make their decision about it. Antonio Glover says Carragher should get sacked. Andy Gray was a legend and he's lost his job with Sky. Andrew Gardner says I bet he gets sacked. Hazel Blazer says he's a horrible guy, disgrace to football, spitting at kids, no excuse. Shane Caulfield says he's a fully grown man, not a kid, great role model for kids. And Salim Hussein says I'm a United fan, people should get a second chance. I do agree with you, Salim, people should get a second chance. My issue with it is that I totally respect what everybody's opinion is. I would give him a second chance, but for me personally, I don't think we'll see the Carragher we saw before. The thing I liked about him was I thought he was just a guy who was having a bit of banter and a bit of a laugh, and he was quick-witted. If he can't do that anymore, and I don't see how he can have jokes and everything like that with people anymore, because they'll have to protect him, they'll have to put him with people who are never going to say I don't spit at kids, and if he loses that, what does he become? Just becomes boring Jamie Redknapp, doesn't he? So only Leeds scum deserve to be spat at, says Where's Ollie? Oh dear, oh dear. Spitting is vulgar, can spread germs including hepatitis, says John Fielden, and we must not send any message that it's okay. Jay Wood, Carragher lost his head, doesn't matter what was said to him, he should have known better, he'll never live it down, people will use it against him as often as they can, I think he'll resign over it. And I think that's probably the most relevant point from Jay Wood. It's very sad that one moment of madness will probably undermine his career and destroy what those people who liked Carragher before, like me, it will destroy it, because we can all try and say let's go quiet for a few weeks and suspend him for a few weeks and bring him back, but they'll use it as a stick to hit him, and the biggest people who use it as a stick to hit him are the press. There you go. Christian said I liked kids. No, he didn't. He says, sorry, I've got that wrong. Samuel R says spitting at kids is bad. But then directly below it, Christian says, I liked Carragher. And I've just looked at the top bit and the bottom one. Gary Neville looks lost on Monday Night Football without Jamie. I think Gary Neville will want Carragher to stay because they work well as a team. And Gary Neville coming out and saying, effectively that he should keep his job. I understand that from Gary Neville, but I don't know whether everybody's actually thought about it properly and thought, of course he should be given a second chance, but it's whether that incident is just going to undermine whatever it is reputation he'd built before. I still like him. It happens. He did it in the feet at the moment, says Mohammed Ashfaq Patel. And Bjorn Ollie Lundberg says Carragher did a mistake. Nobody's perfect. Exactly. It's just what you know what. It's good to have. It's not good that it's happened at all, but I'm glad it happened on Sunday, and then we've got the Skype show tonight, because it really is interesting, and that's what this channel's all about, to get different views, because I always believe that everyone should have a second chance, and he will get a second chance. No one's going to send him to prison for it, but it's the barriers of whether that second chance means he can go back to doing what he was doing before. Because I think when you do a job like that, you've got to, part of the big salary, maybe people fall into the trap of thinking I'm paid that big salary because everyone wants to listen to me talk about football. It's not only that, as I said before, you get the big salary because you're working for Sky Sports or BT and you are a public figure. And then when you are walking out of Old Trafford and you're an ex-Liverpool player, or you're driving out of Manchester and a Manchester United fan sees you and they're giving you a bit of banter, you either realise it's banter and go like that, or you just put your head down and look forward. You don't wind your window down and spit at the car. But who knows why he did it? Why was he in such a bad mood like that? Why was he so het up? I mean, he's an ex-professional footballer who's played in games between Manchester United and Liverpool as a defender. He knows how to wind people up, but some people will say it's justice for what he did to Nani. No, nothing has been said on Monday Night Football, says Jay Baz. I don't give anyone a second chance. One strike and you're done, says Little Miss Nintendo fan. Oh dear. Robert Fahy says, do the victims think he deserves a second chance? To be honest, Robert, it's a good point, but I almost think that that's irrelevant, because those victims could be scum of the earth or they could be absolutely brilliant people. We don't know. But I think it's irrelevant, because what if those victims were saying, chuck us $1 million and we'll stick up for you? Or they could be, you're a disgrace to human beings. I don't really think it matters what the victims say. I think it's more, I think the only thing to focus on is what he did, spitting. And if they can live with that, they can live with that. He's ours. He's our property, Jamie Carragher, at the end of the day. He's paid money by Sky, but he's our property as a pundit. He's a public facing element of sports coverage, and the judge in relation to him and Sky's line is whether the public trust him anymore, whether the public respect him anymore, and if they can, then he should stay. Simple as that. Shahid says, Mark, if that was your daughter, how would you react? It's a good point. I don't think it's about that, because I think obviously I'd be very, very angry if it was my daughter. But I think if, as Jamie Carragher is obviously offering to do, if he's speaking to those parents and he was sincerely sorry and he explained to me why it happened, I would give him a second chance. But that's who I am. But that's not the issue. The issue is, can he recover from that, his career, and go back to the person that some of us liked, which was a very bantery pundit. And it's difficult. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. But let's take another call. I'm gonna go with somebody who's been trying to call in for a while. Let's try John. John, can you hear me?
Hello.
How you doing, pal?
How you doing? I'm a Liverpool fan.
How you doing? What do you want to talk about?
I just want to talk about the game on Saturday. Obviously, Man United won. They beat us 2-1. I was very disappointed with the performance of Liverpool. I think they thought Man United were going to park the bus.
Sorry, are you a Liverpool fan?
Yeah, Liverpool fan.
Oh, cool. Great. Okay, yeah. Go on then.
Yeah, I thought Klopp probably thought that United were going to park the bus straight from kickoff, but great tactics from Mourinho. Lukaku absolutely bullied Lovren. And it was great tactics from Mourinho. He's outclassed Klopp. He's shown experience that he's had over the years of winning trophies. And I was just very disappointed with the performance from Liverpool. First half was poor. Second half, he stepped it up. But even when we got that goal back, I thought, I didn't think we were going to get that equaliser, because, again, Man United tactically, they were spot on that game. And it was a very disappointing performance from us.
Just before we go into that, very quickly, just because we were talking about it, where do you stand on the whole Carragher thing?
The Carragher thing, he shouldn't be spitting at a 14-year-old girl. I know he said that what happened with on the motorway, he had 4 or 5 people videoing him and all that stuff. I still think that he should have a second chance, but as you said, if he does try to have a lot of banter, because he normally does with Neville and all that stuff, in the comments on Twitter or whatever, it's just going to be flooded with, at least I didn't spit out a goal, like you said. So he's going to come back. He will come back. Sky won't sack him, but I think we know what the response will be when he comes back.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting to get your thoughts on the Liverpool game. I mean, very quickly, I just felt that Liverpool fans in general were quite naive to the fact that they thought they were going to come and batter us. I think you have got a very good attack, but my interpretation of Liverpool is, and it'd be interesting to get your thoughts as an actual fan, I think if you play like Mourinho played against them, and I've seen other teams come to Anfield and do it, he doesn't seem to have a plan B, whether it's, I almost think he should have on his bench, not an Andy Carroll, but he should have somebody that you can chuck into the box. Like Giroud, I know he's at Chelsea now. Somebody that, when you can't break through, like Salah, Mane and Firmino couldn't, you can just put somebody in the box and mix it up a little bit. Because I think Liverpool play one way, and I think Mourinho knows how to shut that down.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, United were playing, in the second half, they were sitting quite deep. And rightly so, because we literally gifted you those 2 goals through our poor defending. And one thing with us is we always seem to play down the middle, and there was literally no space down the middle. Firmino's isolated, Mane had to drop deep to try to get a bit of space, and Robertson was overlapping, but there was no space. And as soon as we went down the wing, more gaps started to appear, and that's where we got a goal from. Obviously, Baye scored their own goal. But as soon as we started stretching the pitch, creating more chances, we started creating more chances. But again, it's something I'm very critical of Klopp. We always seem to play down the middle against teams that like to play a low block. And, it is very true. Klopp has not got plan B, and he's even admitted it himself. He said, I've got plan A, and if that doesn't work, we're going to stick with it. And yeah, exactly right. We had Dom Solanke, we brought on the bench, but there's no real options to bring off the bench. And I was really disappointed because I thought we'd turn up in that game. I didn't think we were going to smash you. I was confident going into the game, obviously. But I knew we'd have that same defensive problems we've seen. Dejan Lovren, again, we all know it's not good enough. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he showed his inexperience there. Van Dijk, I thought every time Van Dijk and Lukaku, dealt with Lukaku pretty well when the goal kicks from De Gea came in, but Lukaku absolutely bullied Lovren. And we do need a couple more players to challenge for the title. I mean, we probably need a goalkeeper, a centre-back, a defensive midfielder. We probably need another attacker to replace Coutinho. But it's very true. Klopp has only got plan A, and he said that he's only got plan A. If that doesn't work, he's just going to stick with it.
Just on Klopp, very quickly. Right man for Liverpool, you happy with him?
Yeah, I'm happy with him. I am happy with him. Obviously, there's still stuff we need to sort out. I still think the board haven't backed him financially as much as they could. We're making profit. Obviously, every year it's just, the net spend it's a positive net spend. We need to start spending more money. I know we bought Van Dijk. We sold Felipe Coutinho. I don't know why we sold him midway through the season, because I'm pretty sure if we kept him, he could have won us a few more points, and he wouldn't have refused to play, because we saw in the summer he started playing. That was probably his best season in Liverpool shirt. And he would have played, obviously, because it's the World Cup, and he can't if he doesn't perform at his best. There's a lot of fantastic players in Brazil. So, yeah, I'm confident that Klopp will, take us to trophies, but I still think he needs a trophy, because there's obviously the pundits and everyone talking about Klopp. Before we can start, saying he's a fantastic manager, we need to start winning trophies. And 2012 is the last time we won a trophy, is the League Cup, and that's not good enough. So I think if we get a trophy, it will bring back that winning mentality, and hopefully, it's 28 years now without Premier League title. That's way too long. But I still think Klopp is the right man to get us to that Premier League trophy.
Okay, mate. Well, really do appreciate the call, John. And, if you feel like calling again, please do.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, pal. I really enjoyed that. Nice to get a different fan perspective, because you know what? We don't have any love for Liverpool, do we? And it's music to our ears when we can hear that they've not won trophies and all that. But at the end of the day, we've just played them at the weekend, and it's interesting to get that unbiased opinion, really, and also verify a lot of what we've been saying. Liverpool don't have a plan A, and clearly their fans. They don't have a plan B, and clearly their fans are aware of it as well. And if you shut it down, you shut it down. Bring in Pogba as a sub, says Sinikaba, and we're all here to talk about football. We're rivals, not enemies. Good call, says Hazel Blazer. Exactly, yeah. Look, I ain't got a problem taking a call from another fan, as long as it's relevant to Manchester United. I don't want to talk about Liverpool's next game, but there you go. Thanks everyone. Anyway, please do drop a like on the video. I mean, I think that last call sort of reflects the quality of the whole show, really. We've had some really good calls yet again. So this is the one show I really do shout out, whack that like button big time, because it is about the people who've called in, which is your community. It's you lot, isn't it? You know, this United Stand channel started off with hardly anyone watching it, and over the last 3 years it's grown massively, and we can't do these shows if it wasn't for people in the live comments and people who then call in. So every Monday night 8 o'clock for that. J Baz says, can you give my wife Jodie a shout out? She's a massive fan of both United Stand and Manchester United. She's got nicknames for every player. Well, there you go, Jodie, fantastic. And there's your shout out. So I hope you're having a nice evening. We've got a match tomorrow. I mean, you cannot. The bad thing about beating Liverpool is it's such a quick turnaround. I would like to have had a week. I'll tell you what, I would like to have had an international break. I would like to have had an international break after that Liverpool game, just to really milk it, relax in it for 2 weeks. We've got what have we had? 2.5 days, and we've got a massive game against Sevilla. So not long enough to really soak in that victory over Liverpool. But tomorrow we are live again at what time will we be live tomorrow? Around probably 6:45, 6:30. I don't know what time the team news comes out. Probably about 6:30 tomorrow. We'll be live with the watch along right the way through till full time. Then it's another call in at full time. We do the hour after the game where you can call in and give us your thoughts on the game. So another opportunity for people to call in. It's always Skype Goldbridge, one word, Skype Goldbridge, straight after the watch along. Fan cams, and we go again tomorrow. So lots going on. Smash that like button before you leave. Heatwave's been here since 80,000 subscribers. Lots of love for the channel. Look, this is what the channel is. If you're new, subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and get involved. It's a fantastic community. You won't regret it. We're live every night at 8 o'clock. Obviously tomorrow night a little bit earlier because of the watch along. Get involved with the community. It's fantastic. Really, really proud of what we've built collectively. The calls are just great, and the live comments, lots of live comments read out tonight as well. Really, really enjoyed the debate. So keep getting involved, and I'll speak to you all tomorrow night. We've got to win. It's another big game for Manchester United, massive game. We've got to be in the quarterfinals. You know, I said at the start of the season, quarterfinals is what we should be expecting this year in the Champions League. I didn't know it was going to be such a competitive Champions League. So many good teams. Who knows who's going to win it? But let's get in the quarterfinals and take it from there. That's where we need to be. So we've got to get through tomorrow, and I think we will do. Thanks, everybody. Speak to you all tomorrow. Don't forget to drop a like on the video before you leave for all our great callers tonight, and really enjoyed it. One of my favourite shows, this. So really, really good. Speak to you all soon.